your kids are at home, you can't send them to nursery, they're crying, even their routine is disrupted, right? So now kids normally would absorb all what they feel in the environment. They're like this sponge. And if parents are unable to manage their own level of calmness, unable to regulate their own emotion, then we are seeing they could be high strung, they could be, raising their voice a bit more, they could be getting irritable with, managing the kids. All of these will actually have a ripple kind of effect on the children, and therefore it becomes like a vicious cycle that goes on in them not able to manage. So I always, first, when you're talking about very young kids, I always tell the parents, we need to learn to regulate our own emotion first. So how are we taking care of ourselves? Forget about boundaries first. Kids, all research talks about structure, routine. For very young children, to be in a calmer, grounded state, they need structure, period. So this is a disruption, not just a disruption for the parents, that they need to manage their own nuances. They need to manage the worries they have, the loved ones outside, their parents themselves who are not with them, whether they're okay because they're older than them, and how much of this information about COVID-19 is impacted the way they manage their own emotion does somehow reflected or resonate to the children. With kids who are below the age of 1 and below the age of 5, they constantly need proximity. So this is where we need to really understand attachment, because kids would feel safe and secure when you have a warm, nurturing, secure parents. So if parents are anxious at home, the kids are going to have what you call maybe tantrums. So, and then of course, and I'm looking at, if you're talking about boundaries, how do you go about having these boundaries? You have this structure with your kids. And very young kids, they need to have a very visual, simple, concrete factual, simple, concrete, because their language of behavior is play. So they're very young, and it has to be in a play form. And I think this is the best moment for us to reframe and learn to be a child as well. You're stuck with your kids at home. It's a lockdown, guys. Yeah. Right? And to be in the positive sense is to look at it, how best can I use this time, since I can catch up with all the times that I could not spend with my kids. And at the same time, catching my own self so that, I'm able to manage better. And of course, you're talking about boundaries, then you're looking at routine and how you're going to put the routine, and always have kids to be party to the plan that you do with them, because that kind of empowers them. They are also together planning with, Papa and Mama, and how to go about doing this. So they feel they are part of this plan and excitement, right? So, and I'm saying again, we need to catch ourselves first, and then have this clear structure, routine, and you have a space, office space in your house. And I know a lot of modern parents have nannies, so in some way that it elevates your stress level, but there are some who don't. So the one that struggles the most are mothers and fathers who don't have a helper at home, or maybe, a grandparent to assist. So my heart goes for them, seriously, it's hard. So my advice to parents is get dressed as though you're going to go to work. That's a routine the kids know. Yeah. You're not sending them to a nursery, you're not sending them to a nanny, but, you pretend that they're going to be, in this space. And talking about proximity with kids, kids feel secure when they have loved ones close by. So you can put this saying, this is your nursery. You can see mommy here, but mommy is working. So this is the boundary for work. Mommy is dressed up, wearing my lipstick. Papa is also dressed up. He's wearing his, working shirts and whatever not, and this is our working time. And again, this is indulging them together and be flexible. Rigidity doesn't work with young children. So what happens with very young children is that the tantrum is a way of, or symptoms to tell you that they are not able to manage their emotion at this point, or they're struggling to manage their emotion at this point. And then you have this outburst of tantrum, right? We need to understand tantrum is unintentional. The kid does not have a tantrum because it wants to manipulate you. Not for that age. But it's how parents react or respond to the tantrum that can get reinforced. And then you'll see a 5-year-old, a 6-year-old, a 7-year-old, even a 9-year-old would have tantrums because they have learned they get something out of that. It's like a reinforcement, right?
Yeah.
For a very young child, it's so important for us to understand, what is this about? Where is this coming from? What are the sources of this? So it could be many different reasons. There could be the underlying reasons behind it as well. Anger happens sometimes in very young kids when they feel the injustice is done. The toy is snatched away or taken away as a punishment. And they didn't understand why do you have to take my toy? Why can't I have this cookie? You know, they're unable to. So anger, as far as we all understand in the mental health, anger is a protective emotion. It is signaling something is not right. If they feel that, this, deliberately taking this away from me, so they get overwhelmed and they get frustrated, and then you see the tantrums coming in. So we're looking at mild to, severe tantrum. But if it keeps going on, then parents are the best people to now probably do some sort of investigation. Is it a very similar tantrum for a similar external stressor that happens to this child? Is there a consistency, a pattern in the manner that it's coming out, to really understand what is happening there? And then the other one is, of course, is anxiety. In a young kids, like we're looking at toddler, a 4-year-old child, a young child, yeah? They're highly imaginative,
Yeah.
This is the age where you can tell them there's a tooth fairy, they will believe you.
Definitely.
Definitely. They are in this world of imagination because that's how the brain is, right? And if you're going to tell them in regards to COVID-19 is like a monster and it's going to eat you up and all that stuff, it's going to freak them out.
Yeah.
So anxiety is another one that makes kids have tantrums. And then you can see that you understand this by looking at, sometimes it can be external, we see in tantrums, and sometimes kids, this anxiety is very internal. They clench their face, they do that, It's not that they're behaving well. So parents need to be aware of the physiological changes of their own children, what happens, to understand there's an impact when you're looking at this, yeah? So anxiety can come out as tantrums too, to really understand what is this tantrum about, what are the underlying. Sometimes it could be about learning, sometimes it could be about maybe there is some sort of fear, trauma that would have happened, or maybe there is child has got underlying symptoms of ADHD, autism. So these are the things that you can catch. Or sometimes kids have too much of stimulation, sensory stimulation, and parents were not able to understand that. So they get overwhelmed very easily with whatever that happens in the environment. So these could be the other underlying factors that is existing for tantrums to happen. But again, not to worry about tantrums because it will pass.
Yeah.
But it's hard to handle in the moment. So what parents need to do, if it's a very young child, pick the child up, hug the child. So in psychology, we talk about containment, holding and containment. When I teach the relationship, I also talk about containment. When couples are fighting, the therapists need to hold that, contain that, because the emotion is so volatile. So I'm equating this to tantrums. The child's emotion is so volatile. They could be tossing the head up and down. Sometimes, like kids are having colicky, you don't know what the hell is going on with them. You think they're in pain, you don't know what to do with them, but they're screaming. But this is what you need to do. Be the calm parent. Whether it's a father or the mother, it doesn't matter. You can take turns because it's exhausting. Now the best is both of you at home. Assist and help each other. Be more compassionate. Carry, sweep the child up, hug the child, contain the child. And this sensory touch is making the child feel Papa, Mama is holding me, is containing me. This is also one way of soothing a child when they're having a tantrum. Yeah? But it's also a signal to parents of a younger child that the child is struggling to manage emotion. And I've seen a lot of parents telling their kids, don't cry. So that is really the reactive. You are being reactive. And that is not going to help tantrums. That's going to just probably make it worse. And then this child is going to grow up a certain belief system that emotion is bad. And then you're going to see other psychological issues that might come out when you become an adult. Relationship issues happens a lot of times when emotion is not regulated. So whatever the reason is, again, you need to find out what was the trigger of the tantrum to understand. And sometimes tantrums with young kids happens when their siblings are around as well. So that's a very classic case of understanding why this is happening. Because maybe the elder brother has snatched his toy, or so this is anger that's coming out as a tantrum, and he's waiting, so he's not able to manage his emotion. So you soothe him and rectify what needs to be rectified, but not to be a hero and to solve his problem. Because what happens with a lot of parents is that they want to solve and take away every pain that the child has. But all of us need to have our own experiences learning and managing. Because as adults, we use a lot of our thinking than our emotion. With the younger children, their emotion comes first. So that's a different thing is happening. So the adults, who are the one who know better, should come down to that level of the child and soothe the child at that space that you should be, not like that, So to understand what this tantrum is about is important. And I've noticed in children when they fight and all the stuff, that is the best learning social skills that they have before when they go out of the home environment. Siblings are the first dose of socialization kids learn. So when kids are fighting, parents come and rescue the younger one. In some way, this is complex, right? The tantrums can be related to parents always coming in and rescuing the younger one too. So it's a vicious cycle, because you respond, you scold the elder boy, you rescue the younger boy. So the younger boy, unintentional, as I said, tantrums, but then because of this behavior that gets reinforced, he's learned to do that. And then you see parents coming in and rescuing doesn't help in socialization of the child. The child doesn't learn peer relationship because he's protected. So let them fight, let them settle it, let them negotiate. All these skills are done at home, actually. Social skills are so important done with siblings. I feel sorry for those who are only child, but siblings are the best place for you to learn socialization and negotiating, conflict resolution, building persuasive skills, all the stuff. They do learn that. If parents keep coming in and trying to educate all the time, you deprive your child to learn their own way, which are naturally given talent as an individual by birth. To learn this. Yes. So understanding where the tantrum is coming is very important, so that they could adjust the environment accordingly to solve the problem, why the tantrum is there in the first place. Is it anxiety or is it anger? You need to understand. Or is there some other underlying factor that's contributing to the tantrum? Is it a learning disability? So all that stuff, they need to figure out and see why is that so. And I
Yeah.
said again, right? Tantrum is something that is
unintentional. Yeah.
Okay, the question is, if anybody is there listening, it will be great to understand what this guilt is about, right? We need to understand, what is this guilt about? Why am I feeling guilty? Am I not good enough parent? I didn't do what I'm supposed to do. Did I do wrong? So there's a difference between regret and guilt. So guilt is more a deeper emotion in regards to, feeling I did something wrong. So if not spending enough time with my kid resonates with me saying I did wrong to my child, then I suppose the parent is feeling guilty. So again, maybe we need to reframe and redefine this emotion. Sometimes what you perceive as what it is in your head, and you believe that's what it is, you conduct yourself with that. So a guilty parent might end up buying more toys. A guilty parent may end up giving more material needs for the child because they are trying to compensate the time they didn't have, right? But with the lockdown in COVID-19, everybody is at home. And what I see is the younger parents, they're more overwhelmed than guilty. Because this is what they have with them, with a younger child. Now they are able to have more control, minus the tantrum, more control with what's going to happen at home with the child, right? And as I mentioned earlier, routine is so important, schedule is so important. So you need to set that so that the child is grounded. The child has got this structure and schedule to follow, which helps the child to calm down. So if the parents themselves are not able to calm down and be grounded, you're not going to have this routine that can be followed because the parents are themselves struggling to manage with their own emotion. And it's so hard. My heart goes out to these people. It's so hard when you have younger kids. If, let's say you have 2-year gap from the first and the second, and you have 3 kids, it's hard. It multiplies. Yeah. And again, we are looking at how much spousal support are you getting during this time. You see, a family is an emotional unit. So every member is connected with each other, and we react with our emotion. We don't react with our thinking because it's an emotional unit. You get hurt faster because you're attached and connected emotionally to whoever that is at home. Your brothers, your sisters, your father, your mother, it's this whole dynamics is going on, right? So now this guilt, trying to understand again, what is this about? Are you trying to be the parent that your parent were not able to be for you? Right? So if you're looking at a lockdown, don't you have all the time now? So where is this guilt coming from? Is this guilt coming from because you are angrier than before? So you snapped at the child, you screamed at the child? So these are very normal behavior that happens. And be kind to yourself. Come on, I mean, we are not saints, We're human beings. It's so hard to have 3 kids who are crying at the same time and squabbling and fighting and punching and whatever not. So, and I'm telling you, you are the adult, you need to learn to calm yourself down. So where do you learn to calm yourself down? So this is again, getting I read somewhere someone said about getting this, have this push button, So you say, oh, take a break now. So you're going to take a break because if you're going to go on, you're going to get burnt out in this lockdown. And parents are going to get burnt out when you have younger kids. And if they don't get help, and it's so difficult to get help, all help is virtual help, right? It's the connection with social connect. We have a social brains, we are social beings. We need to socialize to calm ourselves down. We need to touch our face to calm ourselves down. This is part of a natural process that we do to ourselves. So touching ourselves is soothing ourselves, right? And talking to people is soothing ourselves. And now everything is locked down. And parents are cooped 24/7 with younger kids who are screaming, maybe crying and having tantrums. And it's very normal for you to be overwhelmed. And you don't try to be a super mom or super dad, because this is such an unprecedented disruption, as I said. And this is such a time that, it has never happened before. Again, keeping it concrete, keeping it factual, keeping it simple. So when you're talking to this child, you got to have a very calm tone. Yeah. There's a great clip by, I think, Dr. Pauline, I'm not so sure, is it Pauline Ong? She is a pediatrician. I think she did this video clip for the FGA community ministry, FGA ministry. That is one of the things that maybe parents can look at the videos to see how they can pass these messages. But for me, what is very important, what I resonate with what she said is in regards to being calm. Your tone of voice is so important when you're delivering these messages in regards to the information you give these kids. Yeah, and always instill hope. Always instill hope, because this lockdown is not permanent. And validate them. And I saw this such interesting video on, I think it's a US teacher. She came out with teaching about the virus using soap. It's a video. And she imagined the particles that was in the video as the virus, because kids this age cannot see abstract. They're concrete. Yeah. They need to see it, to feel it, So seeing that visual was really, really important. And with the soap dropping down, the virus, or so-called virus, the particle that she put it in, dispersed, moved away. So that's how, we can sometimes use a lot of aids that we have in YouTube. There's so many now. Pick that up to teach them this is what the virus is about, and that's what is important. We wash our hands to keep ourselves clean, because sometimes from our hands, you can go to the mouth, you can go to the eyes, you can go inside the body. But not to be paranoid. Teaching them about it in a very clear, calm, simple, concrete, visual materials are important about COVID-19. Normalizing what's happening to them, allowing them to talk about the emotion is so crucial. Sometimes the parents can ask questions in regards to, what do they feel when they can't go out? Yeah, and it's so interesting with young kids. A lot of times when they see you feeling sad, they want to soothe it for you, They'll say, "Mommy, it's okay, mommy," Have you heard that kids doing it to you? So parents can also verbalize how they feel. And if the information you're not sure, you have no answer, you just tell them, "Really sorry, darling, mommy or daddy don't have the answer right now. Honestly, I don't know." It's fine. Yeah. And do a lot of positive stuff, stay positive. Bonding time, I think, is important. Have schedule, have fun with younger kids. God, you can roll around, you can do cookies, you can play doh, I don't know, Legos. Parents can throw pillows at each other with the kids around, jump on the bed. Yeah. It's messy. Because this is the time for younger kids for learning is through sensory play. It's so important, sensory play, by touching, by doing all kinds of stuff, play doh and all that, and jumping around. And messy play is so crucial, because they are learning in their brain to rearrange stuff, scaffolding, all those things happens. Because without messy play, your immunity is not going to get better. Mm-hmm. So parents who are neat freak, you need to loosen up, because children learn tremendously with messy play. And we all forget that when we become adults. Do you know that messy play is so important? Yeah, play in the mud, play in the garden. If you have a garden, great. If you don't have a garden, then maybe, I don't know, get what is that? To make doughs, the floor. Add coloring. So it's a great thing that you can do. Have more fun with you. Just to, be compassionate. Be kind to yourself. We forget, we are in a society where we have high expectation. We are very critical on ourselves, and we want to be perfect. And that itself is going to cause tremendous stress during this time. So cut yourself some slack.
Yeah.
And this time will pass. Look at it, reframe and look at it in a positive sense. What can I do now since I've got all this time with my kids? Can I do the things I couldn't do to alleviate this guilt from the past that I was not able to be there? A little cry and scream. We all have gone through that stage as well growing up.
Yeah.
Right? Didn't we all turn up to be normal human beings?
Yeah.
Yeah? So let that happen. But if you're not able to take care of yourself and regulate your own emotion, then you will be unable to contain and regulate your children's emotion. So self-care is such an important thing.